Welcome. This time it's a commentary about the SV-98, which is the default weapon for the weekend class and yet another bolt action sniper rifle. And as for this weapon type, there are some shared traits / attributes, so I will list them first. You don't have to control recoil, since after each shot you have to operate the bolt action and insert the next round, so there's a delay. As for initial hipfire deviation, it accounts for 8 degree when standing and 6 degree when crouching, so using hipfire is no viable option, especially due to the low rate of fire and also the lack of crosshairs. Aiming on sight deviation, on the other hand, is of course perfectly accurate, but you still of course need to factor in gravity, so there's only a limited range on where you can aim at the enemy head and actually score a headshot. So much for the general aspects. Now onto the specifics. The SV-98 has a magazine capacity of 6 rounds and 3 magazines in total, which is pretty average and basically everything that needs to be said about that. But the real time is quite 6 seconds, that's rather long. And the general disadvantage of long reload times is that you have to be very careful about when to reload, since you have to make sure that your current area is clear. Otherwise you might run into a situation where you are starting your reload and perhaps halfway after the reload is in process an enemy pops up, so you need to be careful to avoid situations like these. Now as for the rate of fire, it takes 1.6 seconds for the SV-98 to insert the next round, which is not exactly slow for a bolt action sniper rifle. Actually it sits kind of in the middle, but when you compare two weapons as a whole, it feels quite slow. It already feels slow when you are comparing it to the semi-automatic sniper rifles. Now, being a default weapon, there are not really that many outstanding aspects, but one of those would be the aiming on sight time of 0.2 seconds, so it aims at the same speed as any assault rifle. However, when you factor in the other disadvantages that come as a result of using this weapon, it's not really worth it in my opinion. For example, the velocity accounts for 380 meters per second, which is really low, not only for weapons in general, but also for sniper rifles. So not only do you have to deal with the gravity modifier of 2, which also already makes it quite challenging to operate on long range, but there's also the low velocity. And the other big disadvantage would be the damage. Now, I don't want to bore you with all the range and damage statistics, but a short piece of information. Without any damage modifying attachments, you have a guaranteed kill on all targets up to 35 meters, which marks a drop-off start for medium damage. Beyond that point, you first lose your guarantee against 110 HP, then again against 105 HP, and eventually you will even lose your one-shot kill guarantee against targets with 100 HP. So when you are shooting on maximum range, you will never be able to score a headshot. And that's a quite obvious drawback, because with a bolt action sniper rifle you already need to make sure that you make that one single shot count, because after that shot you have to insert the next round and there's this uncomfortable and annoying delay. And if even that one shot does not kill your enemy, what is that weapon good for? Even if you use Viper magazines, which I did in this case, it's still no guarantee against targets with 110 HP. In some cases, even a target with 105 HP might still survive, as the minimum damage accounts for 103. The only thing that you accomplish with sniper magazines, aside from higher ammo capacity, is a guaranteed kill against 100 HP targets for a headshot. So this weapon is extremely weak, even for a default weapon, and there's no racial reason to use this weapon. In fact, the only reason is if you want to give yourself a challenge. Yeah, that's actually the only reason I can see for using this weapon. Other than that, there's no reason. All other bolt action sniper rifles are better than this one, except for the tiny aiming on sight time advantage. And I would say, when you look at performance, all weapons in the Recon class, even the semi-automatics and automatics, are better than this weapon. So yeah, that's everything for the SV-98. See you around. Goodbye.